I'm about to edit 2 readings into 1, so it might be a little bit choppy, but it's pick 1, 2, or 3. We've got flickering lights and my television just shut off. So I'm just praying and thanking God for keeping the power on. So I got a couple new decks. One is this BuzzFeed Oracle cards. And the other I'm very happy about is Beyond Lemuria. These Oracle cards are so beautiful and high vibe. Hello! I'm watching the series Atlantis. And, it's alright. Only on the first few. I got this deck. I've already recorded one reading for this deck, but I don't think I'm going to use it because I read from the book. And in reading from the book, I discovered I don't really love the book. But I don't usually use the book for my Oracle cards anyway. It's just that I wanted to give it a try. So I might still look at, like, there's this, like, divinatory meaning at the end of each blurb. So I might look at that for the cards, but this is going to be a pick 3. You can pick between 1, 2, and 3. You can pick right now 1, 2, or 3. Use your own intuition to decide if one or more has a message for you. We're going to pull 3 cards. So you got the card. I'm going to have to wear some glasses to read the book here. Sorry, I'm laughing at my glasses. Full spectrum. So grainy. I did put the quality up on this video, but my webcam's a little higher quality. But anyway, let's read this. Opened right to the page. Creating heaven on earth by honoring the perfection of nature's cycles. Going beyond the judgment of good and bad. The merging of duality, raw nature, earth wisdom, connecting to ancestors, shadows as the fertile soil for exponential growth. The way forward is in the whisperings of the land, honoring the full spectrum of life. All right, now there's a couple pages. What does heaven on earth look like to you? Do you imagine lush green nature, ancient forests, pristine beaches, crystalline water systems, and all the planet's residents in full health, living in harmony with each other? And yet, nature in its purest, rawest form is a balance of life and death, growth and decomposition, the eaters and the eaten. In one way or another, this is the natural flux of life. We already live in Eden, but our efforts to own and segregate bring us further away from the paradigm. Power trips, the need for imagined security, fear or avoidance of the shadow, keep us out of our freedom. The need to preserve and hold on tightly only stunts our growth and leaves us drowning in a sea of plastic. The real disease on earth, the barrier to Eden, is in our minds. Life happens, but it is our perception of good and bad and our black and white judgments that prevent us from seeing the grander truth. When duality becomes one, we will find Shambhala before us. Perhaps we can find inspiration from nature and the animal kingdom. Does the tiny frog spend its days anxious over its vulnerable future? What happens when we realize fertile compost greens us when we allow ourselves to transmute our pain? When we honor all that came before, our roots are nourished, and we grow with more vitality, vibrancy, and life force. We can anchor more light for the collective, and in turn seed new growth. What happens when we realize the keys to our future are in the wisdom of the earth and the dreamings of the indigenous? That the answers are in the geometry of the macro and the microcosm, the nurturing embrace of oneness in Mama Nature's arms. What happens when we find peace within the full spectrum of life? I'm sorry, but looking at myself with glasses on is so weird. Even the notion of separation, this disease, can be symbolized as no more than a blackened leaf on a healthy tree. The ebb and flow of our evolution and devolution is a temporary blip in the universe. The message is to be what we can, to ground heaven on earth, but not out of fear. We often try to avoid or run from negative situations, but when fear steers our decisions and actions, far more devastation can result. When we choose to let our hearts lead us away from stories and outdated patterns, our challenges become the fertile compost that feeds our ascending tendrils as they reach to the heavens and ground its light back on earth. The divatory meaning of this card is: step out of the black and white mentality of judgment. Go beyond the concepts of good and bad. This card invites you to honor the full spectrum of life and find a new way of perceiving your situation. When we judge something, we create a story around it. These stories often create limitation. Subconsciously, we gather so many of these stories over a lifetime. To heal our dis-ease and crystallize the new way, we need to create a space of no story where miraculous healings can happen. This space empowers us to be all we are and allows us to know our truth. Embrace the full spectrum of creation in all her colors and the raw, muddy, earthbound shadow parts of a situation to determine whether they are actually bad or if stories you have held onto are limiting your perspective. Ooh. All right, hold on. I had food heating up and I needed to get it out of the oven. So, you know I'm on board with that message because if you've been watching my readings, you know that I always say that, right? That we don't want to judge something, that we want to become neutral about it. Manifestia. Manifestia. $36. It's card number 36, in case that number is relevant to you. Manifestation. Sowing the seeds of your dreams. Creating your reality. Trusting what you desire is already happening. Magic making. Pollinating your wishes. As above, so below. This card encourages you to dream big. It comes as a reminder that you can choose how you want your life to go. You can manifest all you wish to create or release. It's time to sow the seeds of the reality you want to experience. In magical practice, there's a saying, as above, so below. Work with this principle through affirmation, affirmative thinking, and higher intention. Then, anchor or ground your dream seeds. Manifest from the heart, overcome fear, take strong positive action, and let go of the outcome. Know and trust your dreams are already on their way and expect to see results. I have something to say about this card. It's a great message. Take the information that's important for you to reflect on from what's read from this book, but I have experimented plenty with manifestation, with materializing what I want in my life. And also, I'm here on a journey of my soul who has signed up for certain contracts and lessons and is dealing with certain sort of inheritances of energy that I specifically came to study, master, and neutralize. So that takes up a lot of my time. Like, if I just got everything that I wanted to manifest in life, I'd probably be pretty distracted, you know? I've recognized along the way that, like, if I knew my magic when I was younger, like, I don't think I would have been as responsible. I think I could have really drove myself into the ground, you know? Like, in some ways, this is a perfect unfolding. But it's not to say that, you know, knowing that we do manifest our reality is important too. So, you know, when you're going to have certain experiences, depending on the energy you're in, you're going to maybe experience it the hard way or in a much lighter way. You know what I mean? So I think it's worthwhile. And then when, say you want to materialize something into your life and it doesn't happen, that is specifically because you have resistance to it. And it could be associated with the energy that you're here to learn from or that you haven't neutralized yet in your life. So those are just some things that I think about when I think manifestation, okay? I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying, like, I think there's more to consider when we go about, like, if you're new into spirituality, and you are finding out about the fact that we can create our lives and manifest what we want in our lives, I think a couple things can happen. You could get really disappointed when it doesn't work for you and you don't understand why, and you might even, like, you know, hang up your spiritual practice or no longer look or stop experimenting. But I wouldn't want someone to get deterred that way either. I just want, like, the bigger picture that I can share on that topic is, like, that there is more to know. There is more to consider about that whole thing. And it's not just like you're a kid in a candy store, so just, like, go willy-nilly. But also, like, your mind, you're not going to line up with that if you don't feel worthy of it, if you don't think it's possible. Okay. Okay, pick 2. Just going to rush right through these, and I will try to minimize my commentary, especially during reading the book. It's dark, and those glasses are not the best. I feel like the lenses are just kind of, like, cheap. Maybe I should invest in more than dollar store readers. I actually have prescribed glasses. They're in my altar. That's where they've been for years. But it's just for astigmatism. Okay, pick two. You got Shine Your Light. I got this card earlier today. Shine Your Light. It's card number 44 also. May be significant for you. Doing what you love. Time to thrive. Giving from the overflow. Life purpose. Being authentically you. Compassionate self-empowerment. Loving life. Trying things you resonate with. Bringing joy to others by being an inspiration. You are amazing. There is no one like you, and no one can do you as you can. Yet, we sometimes feel that we need to be a certain way, a way not aligned with our authentic self. You may feel obliged to be something or someone. You may have stopped doing some of the things that you love due to time or energy restraints. When you take time to do what truly makes you shine each day, you will light up and bring joy to other people's worlds. As you go about your life, you will have a sense of purpose and feel naturally inspired to fulfill your responsibilities. You will also have more energy and love to overflow. Doing what we love can bring so much goodness to our hearts that it filters into other areas of our life. Yet when life is demanding more of us, we give up the things we love to make way for more practical pursuits. When we finally come back to these pursuits, we wonder why we waited. For much of my life, I did not paint, as I thought it was self-indulgent. I questioned how doing what I love could be beneficial to others. Now, the constant messages of gratitude I receive for anchoring my vision on canvas make me wonder how I ever thought that way. It takes discipline to do what we love, especially if we are natural givers. It is easy to get caught up with other people's lives. There can also be a strong cultural belief that fulfilling a creative need is selfish. The irony here is that tending to our own needs harms none, and we will have a lot more to give. It is time for us to collect our light and shift the vibration here on Earth, starting with our inner sense of being. Try those things you have always wanted to explore. Weave enjoyment through your day-to-day experience. Find purpose and the inspiration to spring out of bed in the morning. It is time to thrive. The divinatory meaning. Where can you shine your light? When you have a purpose, you will also have limitless energy and no joy. Where can you grow enthusiasm in your life? Consider how you can be more aligned with your passions so you can harness your light. It may be time to return to something you enjoyed but stopped doing for no good reason. You are a sovereign being. Regain compassionate empowerment and remember what lights up your world. I really like this, that message. I really liked when I got it earlier, and I knew what it was about for me, because there's this project that I've been working on, but I don't have a lot of support for it, and it does feel like I should be doing it with other people, but I really can proceed on and at least get started without others to contribute. You know, it just takes a little bit more creativity, and I will enjoy it. So I was like glad to be told that from that standpoint of like inspiring words instead of being told take action on what you know you're supposed to be, you know. pick two. You got this is pretty. Healing. You got the healing card. Can you guys read that when I put it up there? It looks so blurry. I've put the resolution on this camera at the highest, which is, I'm so surprised. This is a brand new Dell laptop, this year's model, and the resolution is still not very high. So, healing, number 30. Sorry, as my third eye opens, I keep getting glimpses of things, and it keeps freaking me out. So if you saw me like go like look like that, like, and I was like, oh, it was because, yeah, I'm just starting to see a lot of things. My perceptions are expanding. It's cool. I can handle it. Healing, energy rebalance, energetic awareness, healing yourself and others, exploring, healing modalities, Reiki, the chakra system, your unique and innate ability to heal, color vibration, soul sovereignty, auras, and the meridian system, aligning to the highest good and optimal health. Extend the margins of your awareness. Revisit the situation in question from a broader perspective or higher vibration with a focus on healing. This will help you decipher what is real, possible ways forward, and whether an issue is really a problem at all. This card can also signify the universal push that inspires you to explore your healing abilities, however that looks to you. This is nice. I'll just leave these on, I guess, even though I do think they look a little silly, but one of the videos that I wasn't able to release was about me describing in detail 3 instances where I used energy healing to assist in miraculous healings, what would be considered miraculous healings. And, you know, great experiences. I was kind of just like wanting to share because I want people to know what's possible. And I don't know why I wasn't able to share that at that time, but maybe in the future I will. Maybe I'll talk about it again. There have been videos in the past that are on my channel now where I've shared tidbits of the experiences I've had. But with that said, maybe, you know, it's the same kind of thing where if I share that I was able to do that and somebody else tries it and they're not able to, they might get discouraged and stop trying. And so I feel like it's another thing where it's like we have a personalized journey, the journey that's right for us. So when we look at other people, you know, sometimes we can do what they did to get to where we're going. But sometimes we just need to be inspired by the fact that they're doing that so that we know we can do it too in our own way. It's important to kind of personalize stuff to us and also know that we might have a different path. Maybe we need to figure out a way to do it that's different than what they did. And maybe their way doesn't work for us, or maybe their way does work for us and we should take that step. You know, we have to kind of just like let ourselves know it's possible, first of all. And it seems like this card is pointing to a situation where you might have wrote it off as like, it is what it is, or I just have to live with this, or you might even be feeling like a victim to a situation. But there's actually more healing to be done. Oh, they just showed me. When I say they, it's like I have a council of guides that assist me while I'm in this state of awareness, which is that I haven't fully embodied my biggest awareness. So they just showed me an example, which is like, so I had, I've talked here and there about like coming in contact with soulmates that are very significant, right? And having contracts with them for learning and alleviating karmic balances and things like that. So there's this one particular one that we haven't been close in each other's lives, but just the few times, I say few, but it was more than a few, the times that we did come in contact with each other, they were significant, right? Like there was no denying that there's something going on here, because every time I interact with this person, I see the worst come out of me. Like there was one time where I gave him advice, which was completely inappropriate. He didn't ask me for it. And I mean, it was something that I normally would never do, right? Because I had already decided that that wasn't a right thing to do. But when I did it, it was like it just came out of me. And then like I went home and I was like analyzing the piss out of myself, trying to justify it. And then when I tried to justify it, I knew that was my ego trying to justify it. So then I was like digging, right? And what I had to come to terms with was I actually had an agenda when I talked with this person. I wanted this person in my life closer than our various like short interactions. I wanted to like collaborate with them on a more deep level. Maybe I was even like attracted or had a crush on them. And I kind of wanted them to like see this possibility. That's not what the advice was, but the advice I was giving would allow them to like progress spiritually so that they could see the possibility. And that was my own agenda that I was putting on them. And it's like, so where I went home from that situation, and it was kind of like putting my foot in my mouth, right? Because this person didn't want to participate in that conversation. Not they weren't upset or anything. They just said, see ya. And I could have just like stopped there and said, that's awful, and I guess we're not friends, and I guess I blew that, right? I could have just like done that, but no. I dug around in that situation within my own self for an opportunity to heal, because that was the thing that alerted me to the fact that when I came in contact with that person, because of the group of people that person was around, and the fact that like they were all kind of doing the 3D thing, and I was doing this spiritual thing, right? Like my whole life dedicated to spiritual understanding and living. And whereas they're more kind of grounded, right? And there was a part of me that felt like in order to not be judged by them, I had to be successful like they were in the 3D world. When that's not where my focus was at all. My focus was more on spiritual topics and learning and healing myself, from physical ailments and emotional ailments. And that took a lot of my energy. And I was fortunate to be in a position to be able to do that and not be focused on working a full-time job and all that kind of stuff. But here I was around those people who I assumed would think lowly of me if that, if I didn't have any like status in the real world, right, according to what everyone else is living. And so there was this part of me that put up this facade. So I was dealing with this other person on this facade, and it was just that interaction with this, soul contract that broke it for me, because I was able to go within that and look for the healing opportunity within myself. And the healing opportunity within myself was just realizing, oh, I have an agenda. Why do I have an agenda? And tracing that back within myself. And it was like, oh, I have an agenda because I don't want to be judged. Oh, I want to be understood by these people, or I at least want to appear like I am successful, and I don't know if I was ever successful at portraying that image. But I think it's great when my coping mechanisms fail, so that I can see through them and crumble them and learn. And so getting rid of that, right, neutralizing the energy in that, and then and understanding and loving myself through that, the reasons why I wanted to do that, allowed me to let that go and then be more authentic. So that whole situation, which I could have just stopped and said, "Oh, this is too embarrassing," and I just won't associate, like, okay, we're not friends, I guess, because like I put my foot in my mouth. Instead of that, I just went in within my psyche and mined for gold, right? Because I got to see myself. And so this is kind of saying, like, there's an opportunity here, and it might not be just the same way I described it, right? It might be your own way of healing from whatever information was revealed to you. If it was a discomfort or a pain, if you feel like you're in suffering, or if a pattern was revealed to you, that's the opportunity right there for the healing. And the healing is just being able to not be in that anymore. Okay? So it's a big opportunity. All right, let's go to pick 3. We'll pick 3. You got 2 cards. You got the solar plexus chakra. And you got the balanced forces. So let's look at the chakras first. I know the chakras are a short little thing. So normally I wouldn't use the book for a deck that I get, but I just wanted to explore this and see if I like it. And so far they're okay. They're not so deep, these readings. But let's see what it says about solar plexus. Radiant illumination, personal power, independence, self-discipline, confidence, assertiveness, decision-making, belief, intellectual abilities, expression of will, bringing ideas into reality. The solar plexus chakra is the radiant center of our being. It holds the vibrant spark that brings our passions to life. Enter this space to step away from playing small, unworthiness, the idea that you are taking up space, and insecurity-based competitiveness. Allow yourself to be attuned to the abundant life force that resides within this center, and be energized, motivated, fueled with inspiration, enthused and clear-minded, so you can bring forth more of yourself and what you wish to birth in the world. As you discover a deep and real sense of self-empowerment, you can more confidently lift others in celebration, harmonizing differences, and shifting hierarchical paradigms into collective co-creation. Restore. Remember that you are a powerful being who can connect with potent life force energy as and when you need to. Be aware of what fuels your fire and consider circumstances where you had your power away. Imagine all the fragments of your energy that you have given away at some point and bring them all back to the center of your being. Themes: your power and where you are putting your energy. Healing position, navel. Color wash, golden yellow. Okay. Then we're going to go to balanced forces. Yin and yang, productive flow, masculine and feminine energy, the balance of duality, patriarchal paradigm being rebalanced, equality, balance in perspective. The Lemurian people are said to have been androgynous, meaning they were not a specific gender. As they were only partially formed in the physical realm, they did not inhabit a paradigm of duality. They were a perfect balance of what became masculine and feminine energy as it densified in physical form. We all hold a mix of masculine and feminine energies within us. Masculine energy is more about focus and a forward direction, while feminine energy is more holistic and peripheral. Masculine energy is that of logistics and actioning desires into being, and it has more of a controlled and rigid vibration. Feminine energy is freer, flowing, nurturing, creative, and receptive. Both sides are to be celebrated, but in our efforts to rebalance inequality and prejudice can occur. In the current paradigm, masculine and feminine energies are imbalanced as our global culture is largely patriarchal and strongly influenced by masculine energy. Efforts to revitalize the feminine flow have been incrementally shifting the balance over the last century. It is time to calm mind-based intellect, scientific data, linear direction, and the acquisition of power. To have an optimal human experience, we must embody a balance of masculine and feminine energies. We can daydream in receptive fluidity and then action our ideas into reality. We can be soft and nurturing and also firm and direct as needed. We can be determined, compassionate, grateful, vulnerable, visionary, and strong. There can be focus and free flow. We may not draw on these energies simultaneously, but when we access both equally, we can be truly powerful centered beings. When we bridge the duality within ourselves, we can seed more balance in our outer world. The divinatory meaning. This card invites you to look at masculine and feminine energy from a more balanced perspective. It is the situation at hand on the more masculine side of the spectrum. Is it? Can it be tempered with a feminine energy? Or vice versa? Would the addition of masculine energy bring balance? What needs to happen to form a more holistic and equalized foundation? Do you normally hold a position of one extreme? How might you balance this so you can experience a more optimized state of being? To bring more masculine drive and focus to a situation, for instance, if you have some upcoming due dates and you need to get into action mode, focus on your goals, desires, and ambitions. If you want to engage more feminine energy for receptivity, trust, flow, and surrender, consider all the things you are grateful for already. Feel the warmth, gratitude, and comfort of knowing everything is divinely perfect just the way it is. Well, I picked 3, so it's just basically saying your energy could use a little balancing out. If it's the solar plexus, it could be your masculine energy, your ability to act on things that needs to be balanced, but you would know better. And actually, to be honest, through reading the descriptions, those cards, I hadn't read those. Actually, I had read the solar plexus one before, but this balanced one, that totally convinced me to not use this book anymore. I mean, grammatically, there are a few issues in this. Not that I was perfect at reading them all, but some of that was not me. You know, that is how it was written. And the other thing is, I don't know, I didn't like the way that energy was described. Like, I'd rather describe it by my own understanding of how masculine and feminine energies work together, which you've probably heard me talk about before, which is basically we're going to receive our intuitive prompts and take action on them. So we're taking inspired action. We're acting from the information we get when we're in the flow state. And then, yes, our minds can actually talk ourselves out of our intuitive prompts, but our masculine side's job is to be in tune and trust that feminine urge. So it takes practice sometimes, but also we can't get it wrong. You know, it's just, we're always in process. We're always in process. So I think it's a good idea to enjoy the process and honor where you are first. Because, like, if you stuck around from pick 1 and listened to that card, it's like nothing is good or bad. Eleanor Roosevelt has the quote, "Nothing is good or bad, thinking makes it so." And there's real power in that statement, right? It's like, however you're doing it, it's not good or bad. It's just that if you'd like to be in balance, you can actually achieve more from that state. Okay? All right, so that's my new deck. I'll use it some more. Even if I don't use the book, maybe I'll just use like the divinatory meaning for a while until I get used to what the cards are. There's a lot more cards than I've even looked at in the deck so far. So, and we'll delve into these on another day. All right. And gosh, I'm so happy that the power stayed on. I'm very fortunate because a lot of people in my town lost power. Yeah, I'm really grateful. And I've been really busy, and I've got some busy days coming up, and so I'll check in when I can. Okay. $10:43, a message at 10:43 p.m. I'll check it in a minute. We're going to go to pick 3. I believe my family knows if it's an emergency, they have to message twice in a row, especially if it's late at night. Because if I hear the ding twice, then I'll take it serious. All right. Air. Paradigm shift. Pick 3, you got the air card. $13. An innovative way of existing, new earth energies, inspiring others, fresh air, flying higher than you have before, more expansive perspectives, consciousness shift. And the themes of this are communication, sharing wisdom, the breath of life, movement, faith, winged helpers, intention, inspiration, change. So air is about intellect, knowledge, but also communication. And this card is specifically showing that something has inspired you from above and has spoken right to your heart. And that you are supported. See these wings? Those are like representative of angel support, right? Like the ethers are supporting you in this. You're being watched over. I see eyes in this card. It might feel like you're sitting on hot coals. But it looks like there's some sort of change going on in one of those categories. This also may be a note to be aware of what you are consuming when it comes to what you're listening to. And what you're consuming for knowledge, other people's shares and things, and how much you let it sink into you, right? Because I didn't want to read that whole blurb in the book, and I don't know, I just got this feeling of the change is becoming more sovereign and listening to your own inner guidance, because it's coming from someplace higher. So your heart is going to lead you forward. And also your body can tell you if something resonates as true for you. You feel it. So know that you are getting divine inspiration at this time, and it is helping to shift you out of an old way of thinking, out of an old way of communicating or not communicating. being more authentic in your communication, being more heart-based, being careful not to waste people's time with your communication. And very much observing the way other people communicate. Okay. All right, pick 3. That's it. Those are the messages we got from this beautiful new deck that I just invested in. And I'm sure we'll use some more of these cards in the future. I wanted to get an uplifting deck to help me with an event that I'm doing upcoming, a private party, where I just felt like it was appropriate to get something more uplifting, because my readings go for the the shadows, and these are a bunch of strangers that don't really know my methods necessarily, so I wanted to keep it light for them. So turns out I think it was a good investment, because I do like the cards very much. They are pretty. And remember, it's just information to reflect on, so only take what is useful to you and leave the rest.